Hey everyone, it's Ryonet, the screen printing science guy, here in our screen printing workshop, and today we're going to tackle how ink is measured and poured here in the USA. At Ryonet, we poured ink since our inception, but since our volume's grown and over last year's Wilflex ink transition, we've actually changed ink pouring facilities 4 times, and as you can see here, we've had a variety of ink containers throughout the years. All different shapes, sizes, some fat and short, some tall and skinny. Through all these changes, we made some mistakes, and we didn't set expectations both internally and externally to avoid them. In this video, we're going to show you how we're doing things now to avoid any future mistakes and to ensure you know how it's being done. Just like a lot of other things, we sell and measure ink completely differently than everyone else in the world. You see, across the globe, ink is typically poured and sold by weight, kilos or grams, but here in the US, we pour and sell by volume, in a gallon, quart, or pint. Pouring and selling by volume is pretty simple to understand, right? Just like this gallon jug of water. However, it's a little bit more difficult to execute. Every quart container is not the same, and every ink has a different weight depending on the type of ink because they all have different viscosities and densities. So 2 different inks, though they might be the same volume, will weigh completely different. Take this quart of white and this quart of black, for instance. First, let's zero out the container weight on the scale so we're just measuring the ink. As you can see, both inks are poured to relatively the same line in the container. Yet, the white ink weighs 1,573 grams and the black ink weighs 1,000 grams. They're both a quart, but they have completely different weights. Now, if we were in Europe and sold by weight, you would simply get less white ink in that 1 kilo or 1,000 gram container because the white ink is relatively heavier. However, you would receive the same amount of weight in both. Pouring by volume sounds easier, right? You just simply pour to the line. But wait. Not so fast. There are 3 inherent problems here. And the first problem is most ink is pretty thick. So how do you fill it perfectly to a line? I mean, there's got to be some space in the bottom of this container, right? And even at the top, the line isn't smooth. You have bumps and valleys in that ink. Problem number 2 is that ink settles slowly after it's poured. So if you fill it to the line initially, it looks great, but as it sits and ships around the country, it could settle below the line when it shows up to your door. The other thing that happens in ink during shipping is that ink moves around and sticks to the sides of the top of the container and to the lid of the container. So what you get in the bucket isn't all the ink that you're buying. Also, under different environmental conditions like hot or cold weather, ink will expand and contract, and that's where the third problem lies. If the ink is too full, pop, there goes the lid, and ink splats everywhere. So to make sure that you get the right amount of ink and arrives to you without exploding, here's what we do now. First, to prevent ink from exploding, we went ahead and bought larger containers. Our new 40-ounce quart container is 25% larger than the previous 32-ounce containers. And our new gallon containers are larger too. In fact, you can actually take one of our old gallons of ink and fit it inside the new gallon. That's how much bigger it is. Second, we measure the ink's volume by its weight. And remember, every ink has a different weight to it. So this is actually printed on the label. For instance, this Lava Perfect White weighs 13.5 pounds per gallon. Now we rely on our ink manufacturer Wilflex to provide us this weight, taking out the actual weight of the container itself, and ensure it's correct on the label so that we pour the correct amount each time. Once again, these weights are printed both on our bill of materials or BOMs, the work orders, and the label, so there's no confusion. So let's actually pour a gallon of Perfect White. The BOM and the label both say that it weighs 13.5 pounds, which equals 6,123.49 grams. So we'll want to pour it to at least 6,124 grams. Let's show that gallon of white next to a gallon container of water. So if we fill that gallon container of water all the way up to the top, you'll notice that even though the white is a lot thicker and a ton heavier than water, plus it's a lot harder to tell because it's thick, it's filled up to approximately the same height on the container. There you have it. That's how ink's actually poured and measured here in the US. Okay, let's say you get some ink from a supplier and it looks a little low, like this container right here. Well, the first thing to understand is how much should it weigh. So if it's not on the label, call your supplier and ask them, how much does a gallon or a quart weigh? Second, you want to weigh it. Make sure the container is zeroed out and then weigh your ink. Well, if this ink's supposed to weigh 6,124 grams, but it only weighs 4,000 grams, you know you're shorted approximately 2,124 grams, and you know exactly how much credit to ask from your supplier. Now keep in mind, this ink pouring process is typically done very manual, and it's done by humans. And since humans make mistakes, now you know how to check for it and what to ask for if you were shorted. Alright, screen printers, thanks for getting educated with us and understanding how ink is poured and measured here in the US. Check out all our inks available on screenprinting.com and be sure to subscribe to our Facebook and our YouTube channels for more great screen printing videos.